Jenny Nellist here, horses translated and clinical animal behaviourist. So I have been asking you what questions you'd like me to answer, and one of the questions that was put to me on my Facebook and my Instagram posts last Sunday were what should I be doing around euthanizing one of my horses with regard to the other horses. And this is such an important question, and euthanasia is something we don't often talk openly about, just because it's kind of a horrible subject and we'd probably all rather avoid it. But at some point it's going to happen, because horses don't usually just die naturally. But of course, when they do, we find them, in the field. If they were a wild horse, we'd find them out on whatever their range was, and they would have usually died in the presence of the rest of their social group. So the other horses in their group would have, seen that horse die, and they would be able to investigate the body and know that horse was dead, and they might hover around for a little bit, but equally they might kind of then just move on. And so it's something that, yes, we can't kind of go into their heads to know what's going on, but they've been a witness to what's happened. They understand that individual is no longer there. They've not just disappeared into the ether. But when we euthanize a horse, we either do it at home, or the horse is sent away, for example, to a hunt kennels. And it probably depends on the rest of the group as to because they're the ones who are left behind, they're the ones who are going to have the different experiences. So if the horses left behind don't cope well with the other horse being taken away from the field, and they're distressed because they don't know where he's gone, just disappeared one day, then that could be quite upsetting to them. But again, if that horse doesn't come back for a while, or doesn't come back ever, then after a while they're going to kind of have to come to some kind of acceptance of that. So here's Timely Bronwen. So Bronwen is a horse that I owned at the same time as I had one euthanized. So unfortunately, one of my horses had a catastrophic accident in the field, and on x-rays found he had a broken leg. So we just made the decision to put him down basically straight away, so that he wasn't going to suffer any further. And Bronwen was not present because we brought him in to be looked at by the vet. So there wasn't a horse present when he was put down. But what we did is we brought Bronwen and Penny and the rest of the group at the livery yard down to have a look and examine the deceased Katani. And they kind of sniffed him, realised that he was no longer alive, and kind of went off to graze around the yard. And then after about half an hour, we put them all back. That's what we did, isn't it, Ronnie? And that was kind of all very peaceful. Sometimes I've been in situations where I've had to put a horse put down, and that horse has had a very strong attachment bond to that individual animal, and has really lost the plot when that animal's been led away. Lost the plot, they've weaved at the gate, they've paced, they've neighed, they've called, they've got very upset when we've led that one away to be put down. And what we've done then is bring that individual down to see the body of their friend, and then they kind of become quiet after that. And I assume pretty much like losing any social significant other, then for a while it's going to cause some kind of sad emotions. But again, because we can't get in the horse's head, we don't know exactly how they experienced that. But certainly not having just a magically disappearing horse and leaving one getting distressed behind, then allowing them to see the body, I think, is the most useful, especially ones who've had separation related issues. I remember another case, just while we're still on the subject, of a mare who was quite anorexic, in that she wouldn't eat unless she was with her significant other mares that she was quite strongly bonded to. If those mares weren't there, she couldn't eat, she would get quite upset. And so when one of them had to be put down, that was done in the field. The horse was a bit of a distance, she was left in the field, and then what happened is the rest of the group could come and go overnight to have a look at the body, and then the day after the body was removed. So obviously we shouldn't also be leaving carcasses, which is unfortunately what the dead horse becomes, lying around obviously on land. They've got to be removed as soon as possible, really, and ideally within 24 hours. There's probably legislation around it, but I'm not up on that. Just this is what you would do. The practicalities of either burial, if that's permitted, or using a fallen stock services from the abattoir to come along are possibilities. So yeah, what I do is, once I've had an animal euthanized at home, is I do let the other animals come and have a look, and that's whether they're horse animals or dog animals, basically. So I hope that answers the question for you. And you know, if you've got any other questions you want to ask, keep them coming. I'm really happy to answer them. What I might have to do is kind of space out the answers, like 1 or 2 a week, because I'll just make sure I get around to answering them properly. So yeah, thank you for asking, and please ask some more. Okay, bye bye.